question from Chris, who's having one of the most common problems, I think, that people have when they start competing in jiu-jitsu, which is he says that when he goes to the competition, he does not feel like the same person that he is inside the gym. He says inside the gym, he's one of the tougher white belts. He can roll forever, right? He can roll for like round after round after round. And, he has a sort of a good read on what kind of techniques work for him, and he's able to pull the trigger on them fast. But he says that when he started competing, he's had a few competitions so far. He says that when he goes to the competitions, he doesn't feel that way at all. He says he feels hamstrung to pull the trigger on the techniques. He's exhausted within the first few minutes, and he gets like shaky and weak, feeling like in his grips in his legs. And he says that, with the adrenaline dump and all that stuff, he just feels off, and he doesn't feel like he is the same person that he is inside the gym when he competes. And he's had a few competitions, and he's lost first round in each one of them. And he's wondering, and he sent me a message kind of, Chewy, what gives? Do you have any advice on this situation? So, brother, thank you for the question. And as you know, I sent you a message back, and I asked you, I said, what did you do for a warm-up before your competition? Like, what do you do to get your body warmed up for the match? And, Chris said that he didn't really have a particular type of warm that he did, right? Nothing in particular, no real thought to it. And so that's where I want to start with, because there could be a ton of different reasons as to why you're failing in your matches, Chris. But one of the things that I see from inexperienced competitors, and me and Muhammad, when he was on the podcast, were talking about this, and literally just then the next day, I was talking to Brandon Reed, one of my students, who is a 3-time wrestling champion in college, and we were talking about the same thing. Inexperienced competitors don't really put much thought into their warm-up, and it kills their performance, 100%. Think about it this way. Imagine, Chris, if you will, that you are, getting ready to walk into your gym. You're getting out of your car. You're walking through the doors, and you have your rash guard on. You put your gi on, whatever, and then you just jump out on the mat to full roll. You don't warm up. You don't stretch. You don't drill. You don't do anything. You just jump into a full round of rolling at full intensity. How do you think that's going to feel? If you're like me, first off, I would probably get injured within the first round or two. But assuming I didn't get injured, for me, I would feel terrible. My body would be going crazy, trying to figure out how to get warmed up, or sort of get into the flow of that sort of situation. My heart would be going through the roof because it would be trying to start from scratch to get up to a full intensity roll. It wouldn't be a good situation. And so a lot of times that's kind of what people do when they're competing, because you'll see guys they just kind of stand around, they're watching their buddy compete, and then it's Chris on mat 3. Oh, okay, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to go compete now, right? There's not a lot of thought to the warm-up. And sometimes maybe you'll kind of see them bounce around a little bit, and then they go and jump into the match. And then again, they perform terribly. And so one of the things I would say is you need to put some thought into your warm-up. I can tell you from personal experience that weakness in your grips and your legs would probably go away with a good warm-up. I know I still get that to this day. When I go to a competition, as soon as I step in the auditorium or the gymnasium, wherever it is, I instantly kind of get this, it's like something in the air. I don't know what it is, but there's something to it that gets me kind of nervous, excited. And so I have to get the blood flow going. So for me, if I have a partner, I'll warm up with them, do some grip fighting and shooting in for takedowns. And then I'll do some different stretching and calisthenics. And then I try to do some sort of type of workout, almost like a little mini workout, with sprawls and things like that, where I can get my heart rate really going, really try to get it up there and get to the point where I'm sweating profusely, where I can just basically touch my chest and go have a nice wet hand. The reason I do that is because once I do that, all that nervousness as far as legs and hands and kind of being shaky, that's gone. My body's nice and warmed up, so there's less risk of injury. And then for me, I've found this over the years that if I get a really good warm up, if I step on the mat, I feel like I'm at the gym, right? And if you think about this is really what we're doing. We're trying to keep as many things the same as possible, and we're trying to put ourselves in the same state with a good warm up that we would be inside the gym. Because inside your gym, you probably train for maybe 30 to 60 minutes or so of drills and warm-ups and whatever it is that you're doing before you actually start rolling, right? Well, you kind of want to do the same thing for your body on a smaller level, right? You might not have an hour to prepare, but you want to give yourself some time to stretch out, warm up, focus on what you're going to do some drills and things like that, and then go try to compete. Now, one thing that I would advise you to do too, Chris, is when you're doing this warm-up, have layers of clothing on. Because sometimes, they might say, hey, Chris, your match is going to be in 5 minutes. and then sometimes it like takes 25, 30 minutes. You never know, right? So the tournaments can always be all over the place with scheduling. But one of the things that I would encourage you to do to fight against this, because you don't want to get warmed up and then get cold again, it'll drive you nuts. Get layers. Get a hoodie. I put a hoodie over my gi, my rash guard, whatever I've got on. If I'm wearing no gi stuff, I put sweatpants on, but I put layers of clothing on. So this way, once I get my body warmed up, I've got this little, this insulation keeping me warm continuously. This way I don't have to keep getting warmed up. And then after my match is over, if I win my first match and I've got another match coming up, I'll put those layers back on to stay warm in between the matches so I don't cool down too much. And so I'd advise you to do the same, Chris. A warm-up is huge. It's crucial. It's part of being a good competitor. It's one of the things that you see advanced competitors and experienced competitors and veterans do really well that a lot of times the less experienced competitors don't really pay much attention to. And there's a whole lot of different ways that you could do a warm-up. Maybe if you guys are interested, I could do a warm-up video in here. But at least for now, if you have a competition coming up, just make sure that you do something with maybe your training partners or yourself to get really warmed up, to get sweaty, to get your heart rate going, and to get through all that nervous energy first before you step on the mat. And I guarantee you, you'll have a better performance than what you've been doing if you do that first before you compete. So anyway, that's the answer. Hopefully that's helpful to you, Chris, and I'll talk to you guys next time.